Git and probably maybe run some build, run some tests, and just to deploy before deploying the application to or the version into your server. So that's your CI/CD. Then once we are done with CI/CD, I also want us to cover cloud. So most of these things too, you can also get them running in cloud. When you're talking about your software, your source code management system, we have some we have some cloud platform that really help us in handling this. When you're talking about your CI/CD, you have it running in some cloud providers. When you're talking about your CI/CD, we have CI/CD, we have your Kubernetes, you have, take for instance, now we are using AWS. So in AWS, you have your EKS, that's Elastic Kubernetes Service. So you also have your Docker in AWS. You have your CI/CD in AWS. So you're going to talk about this inside AWS environment. Then after that, again, we're going to talk about Terraform. So what is Terraform? Terraform is infrastructure as a code. That's IAC for short, infrastructure as a code. So now, just like we said earlier, as a DevOps, what you are doing basically is to automate as much as you can. You're trying to automate as much as you can. That is eliminating manual processes. Take for instance now, when I told you guys to really try to set up your AWS account, we actually got a lot of questions. Oh, which one should I pick? Should I pick this one? Should I do this one? And all. If you try to ask everyone, what have you done? I can tell you, majority, we have a lot of variations. I mean, variations in how we really set it up. So now, let's assume I have a Terraform now. I just give you a code. Guys, just have this code, just run it, and your account will be set up for you. That's what we mean by infrastructure as a code. So instead of us doing click, that can easily introduce maybe some errors or some variations and all. So we have all this set up in your environment. Okay, I said, guys, please set up a server. So instead of you doing click, let's have it as a code. All you just have to do is run the code. It's going to deploy the server. It's going to load balance it for you. It's going to do a lot of things for you. That's IAC, infrastructure as a code. So we should also talk about this we should be able to. You should be comfortable using this. At the end of the class. So that's just a quick run through of what the class will be. And I'm hoping everyone will really benefit from all these sessions. Honestly speaking, I'm not really sure, but from my estimate, I'm looking at 6 weeks for this class to be able to cover these things and at least to make sure you are comfortable doing all these things. And I'm hoping everyone will have a good time here. So I'll just run through the messages. Probably maybe I'll see some questions and just answer them. Then we go to the setup anyway that I asked you guys to do. Then from next class we'll start. How long will the session last? I want to record it so that you can share with everyone. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Maybe in the next 15-20 minutes or let's say 30 minutes, we should be done for today because I want to walk us through the AWS and Putty. So I just started recording too. I felt I should. Okay, how do I install APK we download? We do that when the class starts. That's how do I install APK we downloaded. How do I install the APKs we downloaded? APK?
Applications.
You don't really need to install it. Just start it. Okay, yeah. We should go through it together today. So promise the recording won't try some few seconds to test. Which you could thanks, please. Should you try listening? Okay. All right. Yeah. Fine. So Mulu, should I switch my system to Linux now or to me? I want us to spin up a Linux server. I want us to spin up a Linux server. And if you know you have, like on my old Windows now, on my old Windows, I have my Linux running on it. But because the company I work for, we take security, um, security is the topmost priority, and they discover some vulnerabilities in Linux. So probably because maybe some protection that we're having, the environment is they have limits. They have limits because we want to have control over everything. So Linux is not really giving them that freedom. That's why we either use Windows or we use our Mac. So I was told to stop using Linux. But if you think you can set up Linux on your machine, yeah, fine. It really goes so well with this training. But the only challenge you might have is you still need the AWS. Why? Because I want us to do Terraform as a code. That's infrastructure as a code. Definitely, you need a cloud service provider. You can use your Oracle, you can use GCP, but for this class, we are going to be using AWS. And then for the Putty, and then for the Putty that asks you to download, Putty is for your SSH client. That is for logging into your Linux server, into your cloud VM. So now, when you go to Windows, command line, no SSH. It doesn't have any SSH client there. So that's why we are using Putty. So, if you're using Mac anyway, I think there's SSH client that comes with Mac. You can easily just log into your VM, your cloud VM, and everything too will still be fine. So, what part of AWS class are we diving into? That's the infrastructure part of it. So we are going to be doing infrastructure. So at least to provision your infrastructures, your cloud infrastructures. So how long to I just go ahead and record whatever capacity? How do I install PK to HQ RAM on my laptop? How should I say to my Windows? Say AWS, you can easily figure out it on Azure. Yeah. So let me just share my screen and let's see if we can just go through AWS. Let's see. Okay. Raise hands. Admit. Sorry. And again, yes, share screen. Present now. Present a window. Okay. Let me entire screen. Okay, share. So I'm just sharing my entire screen. So this is the AWS myself. I just set up my AWS just basically for this training. So once you follow all the processes that is actually requested of you while setting it up, we should be on the same page by then. So right now, when you want to log in, you have your root user, you have your IAM user. It's always advisable you use IAM user. You create an IAM user. Why? That's just for security. Let's assume you have a big company. You have a big company and you have a lot of people that really need to be logging into this. That's IAM actually stands for Identity Access Management. Just like you have on your portal, anybody can easily log in. So now when you have your IAM, you can easily, on my root user now, I can easily create accounts for everybody so that you can log in and grant you guys access, give you guys different kind of access, the kind of resources you can access. That's just for IAM. But it's always advisable once you create a root user, try to create your IAM and keep your root user credentials safe and always use your IAM user. But I'm here to do that. So I'll just log in with my root user. So I have it. And start a new one. running instance. Okay, so I had to mark here and go to actions. Is it instance networking? Instance states. Okay, so yeah, I can just come to instance, stop instance. So when I stop this instance, next time I can just restart, or I can terminate it that I'm no longer in need of this. So let me just try and terminate it, and so you see what I'm talking about. And I'll spin up a new instance. So successfully terminated the instance. Let's go back to the dashboard and see what we have. Okay, I guess it's still terminating. Okay, terminated now. Let's go back to the dashboard and see what we have. So you see what I'm talking about? How many instances do you have running? 0. But look at your volume. I still have 1 volume here. If I try to create another instance now, I can easily attach this running volume. This volume I just clicked, I can easily attach it, and it will, like, just like you're detaching your hard disk from your PC, you know, and then reinserting it into another PC. So it's just keeping that for me. How do I even see this? That's creative snapshots. That's too cute. You have no volumes in this region. Okay, which region is it creative volume? Okay, yeah. Now let me just start afresh and try to create a new instance, and we are going to log into that instance using that Putty gen that we have. So let's try to create a new instance that we're going to be using all through the training. So just click on your EC2 instance dashboard, and click on instance, or just go down, launch instance. So just click on launch instance, and let's go through it together. Launch instance. So which kind of instance are we going to be using? So in our case now, I want us to use Ubuntu. Let's use Ubuntu. So I think with this Ubuntu, check out this. This is the free tier here. So make sure you look out for that, the free tier. So go for the free tier one. And then you can also browse. You can also come here and browse different types of OS that you want. You have your Mac OS, you have your Windows, you have your Red Hat. You know, just name them, you have them. But for this, we are going to be using Ubuntu. So scroll down. So the architecture, let's just go for the 62 bits. So the T2 micro. So we have different types. So we're going to be using T2 micro. If I go for anything other than that, it might not be free, because look at this now. Only the T2 micro is free. So we are going to be using T2 micro. Then we have your KPI login. So in this KPI login now, this is actually the key that you've been needing to log into the instance. You know, when you're creating your virtual machine the first time, you should be able to access your virtual machine. So that's what this KPI is. And the key actually means the public and the private key. So you need both the public and the private key. So the public key is, you know, just like it sounds, public, and private is what you just keep private to yourself. So the public, you can just share it and anybody can have it. But once anybody lay hands on your private key, man, they can easily generate anything, you know, just have access to anything. So you have to be very careful with this. I think in my case, I actually have a previous key pair created. So let's assume I do not have anyone. You can see this blue RSA. So let's assume I don't have any other one. I can just create a new one. And yeah, just click on create a new one. And then let me just name it Devops. Then which format do I want? I want it in RSA. So this PPK actually means Putty private key. That's PPK. So we are going to be, since we are going to use Putty, so let's change it to PPK, because you're going to be using Putty. So create a key pair. So once I create a key pair now, it's going to download, it will give me the option to download which is this. So you can see it has been able to download the private key for me. So anytime I want to log in, I will need to provide this private key for it to grant me access to be able to log into that instance. So you have to really keep this safe. If you should lose this, you may not be able to access your instance. So talking about your firewall or your network settings. So you have your firewall security group. So just like you have your firewall protection, that's for guiding against intrusion. So you can easily block access. You can say, okay, guys, we just tell this machine, I really want access from this my personal computer. No other person should be able to access it. In fact, this my personal computer only through port 20, 22, So that's what these security groups actually mean. So now, let's assume I've created a security group elsewhere. I can just pick on select existing one, but I don't have anyone created. I'll show you. I'll show you more on that. So now, create security group. So now this is the security group. Security group, like, okay, the access to the machines. So now look at the options we have under allow SSH. So now we have allow SSH. I can easily customize it. Okay, let everybody be able to access this instance. That is anywhere. That's 0.0.0.0. People that know networking, they really understand what this means. This actually means allow anybody to be able to access it. That's 0.0.0.0/0. And then you have my PC IP, allow only my PC to be able to access this instance. That's why we have this. And then we also have custom, so I can also customize it. But right now, let me just go for allow anywhere. Okay, so allow HTTPS traffic for now. I'll just leave that. Later we will come back to this. We'll come back to this when we start working maybe around the ingress and all. So configure storage. So I'll just go with my 8 gig. So let's just go for 8. 8 should be okay. Then yeah, I think by after that, I think we should be good. Can just leave this as it is. Can just leave this as it is, and then launch your instance. So now we have the instance launching. I think it's launching right now. Okay, initiated launch of instance. So let's go back to the dashboard and see what we have.
Can you put it by the side?
External plans data. So now it's telling, now I have it running. So now I have it running. So let me just click on the instance. When I click on the instance, just come down. I can easily get a lot of information about the instance. So here is the private IP. And we should also have the public IP here. So with this public IP, I should be able to log in. So I'm going to be using the public IP to log in. And then talking about the security group that I was talking about the other time, that's configuring people that can access it. So you can easily come to this security and then edit this. And, I can change all the access we have, but I said that will not be for now. Let me not to overload you with this for now. So now that we have this IP, let's go back to our Putty, just like I told you about the Putty, that I should download Putty. So let's try to get Putty. So this is the website for getting the Putty. So download Putty. So in our case now, since we are downloading Putty, we are using Windows, so we just go with Putty. This is Putty EXE. So depending on your system, so just download any one of them. I think for me, I'm using 64-bit, so I downloaded this. Then I came down to download this Putty Gen. So yeah, I don't really need Putty anymore. Why? And copy the instance IP, the IP of the instance we have. Great. So we need the public IP. So this private, that's when you're talking about the networking part of it. We'll not really be delving into that for now. So just copy the public IP that anywhere anybody from anywhere can easily access it. So just copy the IP address, and then after downloading your Putty, you have it something like this. Just click on it, and then
Sorry,
you have
brother.
this window.
Sorry.
So
Some people are raising up their hands.
um, you know what now? I'm kind of having some issues just navigating around. I think I didn't really monitor here. I don't have two monitors, but maybe before next class I'll try to have two monitors so I can be more efficient. But right now my efficiency is kind of reduced because I have a single monitor. So you just have to pardon me for tonight, but then I'll still track you. Yeah. Any question? These people raising your hand, please. Precious, is there anything you wanted to say? Promise,
All right.
Gabriela.
Yeah. What I want to say is, I think you've covered so many and so many things. You've talked about so many things, and I would say perhaps few of us can't really grasp what you've talked about. Maybe you could just use the many minutes we have to recap, so that especially the AWS setup. Maybe you can just, in my own opinion, actually, you can just recap from the AWS setup. Let us get that foundation first, right? Rather than spending so much time introducing so many things that we don't understand, and at the end of the day, we end up not understanding one thing. So
Okay.
that's my opinion.
Is that true, please? I would like to get response.
Hello,
Hello.
good evening, buddy.
Is that true?
I think, yeah, I think in as much as it can equally revert to the what's it called, to the recorded session, I think you can just run through. If you don't really get the thing is, you cannot really grasp everything here. So I think what he's trying to do is still in line with the AWS
It's
whatever.
just, yeah, it's not even started. It's just what we've done so far is just set up. And that's why I say, like, please don't try to do as much as possible. Like, don't try to go beyond what I just mentioned. All you just have to do right now, because you're going to do a lot of things. So when you just try to overload yourself with too much knowledge, it can really be discouraging. Okay, so just do what I asked you, or what I've done so far, which is just spin up instance. It's easy, just like you're just trying to install, install an application on your phone. Just click, click, click. It's as easy as that. That's what I've not really done anything so far. Probably maybe that was how I was saying fast. And so far, all I did was let me just show you. Just once you log into your AWS instance, come to your services and click on your EC2 instance. This is more or less like we are still setting up environment. We've not even started anything. Just like I told you, the first thing we're going to do is Linux. So it's not even started the Linux. This is just setting up the environment first. So just go to your service, click on your EC2 instance, and scroll down and launch your instance. What you're trying to do now is instance actually means a virtual machine, just like you're setting up, you're trying to purchase your laptop. But now we are trying to set up, like we are trying to get a laptop for work, something like that. So that's instance. You're trying to launch a computer, a virtual machine. So just click on launch your instance, and just follow through. Just follow through. So I said in our case now, all we need is Ubuntu. You have different types of OS. Just click on your Ubuntu, leave everything as it is. But if you're an adventure lover, you may want to explore, but be ready to just pay for it if anything happen. Just click on your Ubuntu. Then the next important thing is create your key pair. Create your key pair here, give it a name. You are using Putty, change this to PPK, and then download, because that's what you'll be needing to log into the instance. And leave every other thing as it is. Leave every other thing as it is, and this your storage to leave it as it is. I think the only thing you just need here is select your type of operating system. In our case, you are using Ubuntu, and then generate your key pair. And then once you're done with that, click on launch instance, finish. So that's what I've done so far.
Okay, sorry, please. Then the security group, we should leave it on create security group, right?
The security group, yes, leave it on create security group, you're fine. And I think it automatically just click this for you anywhere. Just leave it as it is and click on your launch instance.
Then the rules should be allow SSH traffic, or which one?
Yes, it's automatically. I think it automatically highlights that for you. Just leave it as it is. Allow just like this here.
Okay, so then as well, you said we should change. There's a particular aspect you said we should change PPK. Where's that?
Yeah, that's when you're trying to create your key pair.
Key pair, yeah.
Key pair in this case means your key. You have your private key and your public key. So just click on your create. Yeah. So just change this to PPK.
Okay.
And it's going to download it. Look at it. So I have PPK here. So that's what I'm going to be using to log into my instance.
Okay. So I just so then click create key pair.
Yeah.
I said so then we click create key pair after changing it to PPK.
Exactly. So that's that.
So one more thing, please. One more thing. For the IP address, can I use my own? Can I use custom IP address without having a switch? Just create my own IP address, or use the IP address of my system.
You can reserve. That's when you're talking about the elastic IP. That's where you're talking about elastic IP, and trust me, it's not going to be free.
Okay, so I should just use my IP, right? Hello?
I think he's having network issues, which is
use the IP that
from his
owns
own
your
end. I think
computer.
he has network issues.
Please, let's allow him to complete the introduction. I believe there will be time for us to ask other questions, because he's actually finding it difficult to start all over again, and it's not easy like that.
Yeah, it's taking more time. That's true. Later after the program, we'll ask questions.
Exactly,
after-
that's my own opinion. Like have
Yeah.
a separate question and answer session.
Yes. Instead of just bridging him, because he's actually finding it difficult now to start all over again.
Hello, guys. So if you have any question, just use the WhatsApp group. Use the WhatsApp group.
I think that's even a good option. But the WhatsApp group is
The WhatsApp group, I don't think is the best here because you tend to learn from other people's questions. So not us in the WhatsApp group. I don't think it's everybody that's on that WhatsApp.
But the WhatsApp group is closed.
So just to add, I think you asked for a recap. That was okay, it's back.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know what's happening to my internet this evening. It's just kind of messing me up.
So I hope you're recording.
Yeah, I think somebody's recording for us, so I'll try and get it. Okay, so Now, just like I was saying, I said, please let's try as much as possible not to worry too much. Let's just take it from bottom up. I try as much as possible to really map out a plan that will really help us. I'm not here to really intimidate because I remember trying to learn this IT. It can be a little bit intimidating. So let's try not to really intimidate, or overload people with too much knowledge or intimidate people with there's a lot of things to these things. So I'm just trying to take it from bottom up, So along the line, anything we're needing, we'll be bringing it in. So that's why I'm just leaving a lot of things out. Okay, so just like I said, all we are doing so far is just to set up the instance, and now we are done setting up instance. Please, can you still see my screen?
We are seeing your face. We can't see your screen.
We can't see your screen. I think
Yes. We are seeing.
You have not shared your screen.
screen sharing ended after you lost network.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. I'm sharing again. Okay. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So just like I said, you created your instance. So please just follow the steps I told you, like just as it is. Please just try to follow client syncer, please. Let's not do too much tonight. Okay, so it's not really it's not really done to more. It's not really be scary to a lot of. It can be scary. Just trying to delve in deeper. Let's start with this to go deeper. So now that we have our instance, please, can we go on mute, please?
Huh?
Please, can we mute? Can we go on mute? Please try on mute, please. Go on mute, please.
Please, can you mute your mic?
I think many people need to mute their mic.
No, you yourself. Your mic is the one we're getting the sound from.
All right, thank you. So now we have our instance running. So this is the instance. Let me try to copy the IP and go to our Putty. So we have the private IP and the public IP, just like I told you. So go to your Putty. Okay, we've downloaded the Putty here. This is the Putty. So just download any of them. Once you download, you're going to have something like this. So all you just have to do is click and just paste the IP here. So it depends on what you are. It depends on the kind of operating system you are choosing. Okay. So now in our case, we actually chose Ubuntu. So now let's try to do something. Let me try and show you something now. This is Ubuntu that we are. This is the instance. Let me try to connect. Depending on the kind of OS you are using, you get different kind of users that you use. So in our case now, it is Ubuntu. You can see it. It automatically gave us the user. Let's assume we are using CentOS. I think CentOS actually use what does CentOS even use itself in AWS? I kind of forgot. And we have different, depending on the OS, you're going to have the kind of the default user that you're going to have. But in our case now, since we are using Ubuntu, the default username is Ubuntu. So now let's go. So how do you specify user? So to specify user that you want to log in with, all you just have to do is you put the username first. You can see my screen at the IP. Okay, so that's how you specify the user. So let's assume I created a user for Precious now. All I just have to do is Precious at the IP. But since we don't have user yet, these are part of the things we'll cover in the class later. So since you don't have the IP, you just don't have a user yet, just use the default user, which is Ubuntu at the IP. Then you can just copy the same IP, just copy the same and put it here so that you can save it. Look at this, that's save section in case you don't want to be putting it again and again. But if you don't want to save it, you can easily take it away. So I have a couple of saved ones here. So Since I'm not using them, I can just delete them. So so we have the SSH. We have SSH. So once you put in your IP, now the private key we downloaded, we need to supply it to the Putty. So how do you supply it? In the left pane of your Putty, this is the left pane. Under this connection, you see SSH. So just click on the SSH and click on the hot. Okay, click on hot. So I think another mistake I used to do then is, if you are not careful, if you go and click on the plus, you'll be more confused. But make sure you're clicking on the hot so that it can bring you this this window to add your private key. So now private key file for authentication, you can see it here. Just browse and locate the private key. Look at it. You have the private key. Okay, so just choose and look at. Please take note of this format here. It has to be in private key because it's in private key by default anyway. So click on it and open. Just like you're uploading a file to your YouTube, say to your YouTube, don't mind me, to your Facebook and your profile. So just click on it, browse and click, then open. Oops, no. Sorry, my bad. Let me start again. That's Ubuntu. That's not what I was supposed to save. I didn't save. So Ubuntu at the IP.
Sorry, Bolu. The port number 22, was it auto-generated or you fixing the port itself? Like
automatically, or you can change it.
Okay.
You can change it, but it's automatically there. Okay. So then go to your SSH. So I'm going to select the hotkey again. This is just setting up the environment. It's not really started, right? So just click on your Devops, PPK. And now that I've done that, then let's go back so that we can save this session. Now I have my Devops key. Then let's go back to the session at the top of the left pane. And, we have it here. Then I can easily save. Let me delete all this. Since I don't want them. So now that I have this, let me save this session. So you see automatically it's saved here. So the next time, now let me close this. I can just open. I can just open and then accept. Let me just accept. Automatically, it's going to allow me to log in. So now I'm inside the machine. So you see, I'm using Ubuntu. And again, if I go to my Putty now, I have my session saved. I can just double click and it's going to log me in. So I'm inside the machine. So let me show you IPADDR. Now, for you to confirm you are inside the machine, take a look. Let's grab the IP address. Here's the IP address of the machine. Okay, this should be the private address. ifconfig. ifconfig. All right. ifconfig.
ipconfig.
ifconfig from dev. Okay, sudo apt install the apt. Okay, yeah, I'll try to work around that, but this should be the private IP. I'm trying to
the private IP.
Get the IP address for this. This is IP address. That should be the private IP. So let's compare this. I'm trying to get the public IP anyway. I'll look for other means to get the public IP. Okay, if I go to Internet let me try to compare the private IP and see what we have. Instance. Okay, so you can see the private IP now. This is the private IP of what we have inside the instance. So we are going to go through this anyway. So don't really bother yourself too much. I'm just trying to show you like I'm inside the machine right now, which is of this IP address, this private IP address. Okay. So we can just end it for tonight. Then from next class we can start Linux. So let me just try to attend to a few questions before we just for the next 5 minutes before we just call it a day. Please, do you have any question? Open queue. Yeah, okay, let me just open the queue. So there will be other listeners. So sorry, Papalola, I see your hands. I see your hand. Okay, let me just ask General. Please, anyone having any question, please feel free to ask now before we end the class.
Okay, let me.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I want to ask, how many programming languages is necessary for one to learn someone can jump into Devops?
Okay. To answer that, I just like I said earlier, I actually used to be a programmer, but I can tell you, I can't remember the last time I actually write any code as a DevOps. Yeah, so
Okay, it depends on the company stack.
it depends on the company stack or what you need to implement, and or there are a lot of tools that are already implemented for you. So basically, all you just have to do is just use your markup language to do some configurations. You just change one or two things and you're up and running. So, yeah. But it's always good. Yeah, at least it's always good if you have some good grasp of programming language like Python. You need Python very well. Python is, yeah, there's something to do with your Python. Yeah. And your bash scripts. You also need your bash scripts.
Okay.
But basically, you need bash scripts if you really want to learn any programming. Just try to learn your bash scripts. And what is bash scripts? Bash scripts is just a set of instruction or a set of commands, that you just run on your terminal. So there's nothing much to really worry about. So just try to follow the class. Bash scripts, BASH, bash.
All right, I think I should come in now since the very person is done. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a couple of questions here. And the first in my list is, after launching the EC2 instance, right, is it possible to scale up the storage capacity and possibly change other configuration in the future? Right, so that's number one. I don't know whether I should ask all of them or I ask you answer them then.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think you should just ask them once.
Okay, the second one is while you were setting up the instance under the OS session where you choose your operating system, I saw I think AWS or Amazon Linux. Right.
Okay.
And then the Ubuntu.
Please, can we go on mute, please?
And then the Ubuntu which we use. So I just wanted to know what's the difference between the two OS. I thought that OS is also Ubuntu is also Linux OS. Right.
Okay.
So that was the second question. Then again, the third question is being able to connect to the instance, that's the virtual machine we just created. So I was thinking that when we log in or when we connect to it, we'll just see an interface that looks like maybe the desktop of our normal laptop or PC that we use today. But that did not happen. So that's the third question. So maybe we should just answer this. If there's another one, I'll ask.
Okay. Yeah. Nice one. Good questions. Thank you. So I'm talking about scaling up of volumes. When you're talking about cloud, that's one of the problems that cloud has actually come to solve for you. Scalability. Take for instance now, cloud running on cloud actually help you to save costs, and save costs, save energy, and a lot of other benefits. Now, how does it happen? Yeah, sorry, please. I'm just taking this time. I think I'm able to really spend more time. We are done for today's class. If you think you don't need all this, you can leave. But then I still have enough time from my end, so I can easily welcome a lot of questions as much as I can. But we are done for today's session. So thank you. If you think you don't need this, you can just leave. You won't really miss much. But if you think you need this, you want to be part of this question and answer, you can just stay. Yeah, thank you. So talking about scaling up of volumes, scaling up of resources. One thing that cloud has to help you solve is, please can we go on mute? Really, please go on mute. Please can we go on mute? Can I
Gundele, please go on mute.
Okay, yeah, already muted. So yeah, let's start from Putty, of course. Sure. So talking about cloud actually comes to help you solve a lot of problems. Talking about scaling up and scaling down. Okay, let me say this now. The day you wanted to buy your laptop, let's assume you don't even know much about programming, but you had, okay, if you want to start programming actually consumes a lot of resources. Okay, so now because of that, what you have to do is you have to get yourself maybe a Core i5 or Core i7, and the day you started using your laptop, trust me, probably even for a whole year you may not even use up to 1 gig from the laptop. And then what will you do? What you normally do is, oh yeah, I want high configuration, you just go for 500 gigabyte laptop or 1 terabyte and all. You paid for this thing. That is, you're even paying for what you are not using. In fact, until you even finish using your laptop self, you may not even exhaust the space. I don't know if you got what I'm saying. In fact, what you're doing may not even need up to Core i7, but you already bought Core i7. So what cloud has actually come to help you solve is to really help you manage your resources. You pay as you use. So now what you're going to do is, for what you want to do now, okay, maybe on your server, the only thing you just want is, deploy your application and run 1 or 2 things, and you think at the end of it, or you may not need more than 4 gig. You just get 4 gig. And after sometimes you discover like, oh, I need more space, you're exhausting the previous space. You can easily just add more space. Hassle free. You don't really need to start calling one engineer. You don't really need to start migrating data. You don't really need to do some installation or anything. Just click, and everything is up. That's where the concept of elasticity actually comes into practice. You can easily scale up and scale down easily. So I think I answered the first question. Then talking about the second question, that's the difference between OS. We have a lot of OS. We have your Windows, you have your Linux, you have your CentOS, you have a lot of them. I think one major difference in all those operating systems is the package manager. Take for instance now, if you want to download on your iPhone, you have to go to your Apple Store. If you want to download on your Android, you go to your Google Play, or if you want to download on your Windows, you go to your Windows Store, your Microsoft Store. Same thing for all these things. So you have the major difference between them is the package manager. So talking about Ubuntu now, the package manager in Ubuntu is apps. So if you want to install anything, you just do your apt install, whatsoever thing. So that's just the major difference, which is in the package manager. And what do I mean by package manager? Package is how you are installing things, how you're managing your packages. You want to download your game, how do you install it? You want to download an app, how do you install it? That's just the major difference. Every other thing, just some minor difference. The commands are almost similar. Okay, and the third one, where you're talking about the graphic user interface, it's just an extension. It's just an extension. That's in fact, when you try to really set up your Linux on your Windows server, depends on the kind of OS you actually pick. But then the only thing you're talking about GUI. Now, one thing that you know about Windows is, it's the graphic user interface that is peculiar to Windows. Now, if you spin up your Windows server, trust me, you are going to be able to log into the desktop. Though I've not really tried to spin up Windows server on the cloud, but I've seen people do it. You're going to have your Windows server just like you're running your normal Windows server on your PC. So it still doesn't matter. I believe I've been able to answer all your questions.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. So please, do you have any other question?
Question, please. Good evening,
Should I
everyone.
go? Okay.
Good evening.
Please, I just joined today. I know it's new and the class is new, but I have little experience when we're talking about Devops.
Okay.
So presently, I have used what's it called? I downloaded Kali Linux on my OS, my window.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can use Kali Linux instead of Putty or mobile, for example.
Of course.
Okay.
Kali Linux will definitely work for you, but
okay.
How do you set up the Kali Linux?
I use what's called a virtual machine.
Okay.
I have VMware and I have VM.
The problem with you using Kali Linux is it's just like you are using your nail, your chisel to just get things done. So that's just the problem. At some point, it's going to tell on you. Why not just do the normal thing? I actually used virtualization in the past, but I had some issues. There are some limitations when we start going deeper, maybe into Kubernetes, when we start doing our ingress, managing your DNS. Okay. That's why I don't really support virtualization presently. So let's just let's not do backing.
Thank you for that, please. The reason why we use Putty is for us to connect remotely, right?
Yes.
So how do I connect remotely on Linux?
So let's assume you want to use your Linux now. Right now, this is Windows. I really don't have SSH.
Okay.
I really don't. Okay. Okay. Let me try to log in again and see.
Maybe I should download Putty. Do you advise me I should download Putty?
Yeah, you can download Putty if you don't want to stress yourself. And
okay, thank you. I'll do that.
Let's assume this is your Linux now. Just run your SSH, then you specify your I. The I option is to specify the location of the PPK. Let's assume I have PPK. So you specify the name of the PPK, and then you specify the username Ubuntu at the IP address. Click enter, then you're in. And if at all, we will definitely do that in our next class anyway. So fine.
Thank you. I'll download the Putty. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bulu, thank you for this knowledge shared. Okay, I have few questions here. First, I'll start with the prerequisites You talked about like when I listen to your, if I listen very well to your introduction about yourself, you said you started like a networker, you learned networking, right? And you learned Python and Git Batch, which is also prerequisite site for DevOps career paths. So, is it possible for us to um, have like a gap, like what are what like in Python, right? You know, of course, we know Python is used for different things, and we know what and what do we need to learn in that Python, and to what extent do we need to learn that the Python so that we can focus on other thing and also keep learning the Python and learning other stuff. You know, like the networking also, what and what do we need to learn in networking? I might be saying this for other people. I have knowledge of networking, I have networking and yeah, of networking. I just need to learn. I need to know what do I need to learn on the Python, and I'll also look at the Git batch, the Docker, and the Kubernetes. Secondly, if I'm correct, are there different career paths in DevOps, like when it comes to job role? You know, which one and which one are we focusing on, or it's just a general DevOps? That's my second question. My number three question, certifications. Is it important after this training we should go for courses that will give us certifications? You know, when it comes to employment, especially in Nigeria, yeah, many employers do require certifications. Is it important? Then the last question is, I'm a front-end engineer. How easy will it for me to tie with this career path, this DevOps?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Good question. So talking about code to learn anyway, if you think you have enough capacity to really learn to code, fine, good for you. Learn your Python, learn Git Bash. But I believe you learn Git Bash as we go on in this class. So talking about Git Bash, Git Bash, I think is something I didn't learn Git Bash. The reason I just learned is I learned to use Linux. And once you know how to use your Linux, you can easily write your Git Bash, just some minor changes, you know. So Git Bash, I believe you're going to directly or indirectly, we're going to learn Git Bash as you go on in this class. And then if you want to learn Python, it's good you learn Python. Python is a good automation tool, probably for scripting, you know. But I've been working for at least I joined fintech company. This is my second year in fintech. I started working in third year running now in a fintech. I can't remember. I don't think I've used Python so far. Fine, I have good graphs of Python, but I've not used Python. If fine, I use Git, you know, and my experience on I said Git. I use Git Bash, you know. I use Bash scripts, you know, and my experience of basic Linux command was really helpful. So you may not really worry yourself about learning to code, but if you have a good programming knowledge, a good programming background, very good for you. It's going to help you, you know, it's going to really help you grasp a lot of things faster. But if you don't really know it, I think you shouldn't really worry that much. So just make sure you give it your all, you practice, keep working, keep getting better, and before you know it, you no longer you'll be where you find yourself at that place where you want to see yourself. And then talking about DevOps, different kind of DevOps parts. DevOps in this class anyway, we are going to be dealing with the general DevOps, but DevOps really goes deeper, more deeper. You know, you can't really know it excessively. In fact, I had a lot of people doing crazy stuff in DevOps. DevOps is just like you can gamify your DevOps. You know, there's no end to it. There's always a thing to do. If you get bored, you know, you can create a problem and solve the problem yourself. That's it about DevOps. So you can go as far as you want when you're talking about DevOps. You can just go as far, but in this stream, we're going to be doing the general DevOps anyway. We have different. When you're talking about DevOps, you also talk about your cloud. Which cloud do you prefer? Okay, do you prefer your AWS? Do you prefer your Oracle? Do you prefer your Google? Then you get some in-depth knowledge in any of these, and then you go further. Okay, how can you do this thing as a code? That's infrastructure as a code. You keep on learning as far as you can. Me personally, I have to be honest, I learned on the job. It's not like I went to any training school to go and learn DevOps, or I sat down with someone. I was just privileged to be at the right place at the right time, and we kept learning on the job. It was not easy, but then here we had to at least we're enjoying ourselves. So that's it. And then talking about certification, fine. I remember when I was trying to switch company then, a lot of companies will definitely ask you which certificate do you have, which certificate you have, but it's not enough. I know a lot of people that are running certification. You don't even have to know anything to have a certificate. So, and some companies actually know about this. Me personally, so far, I can tell I actually don't have any certificates right now in any of these clouds. Though it's good, but I've not like I'm really proud. I'm not that I'm really proud of this anyway. I'm not really proud of it, but I don't, and it has not really affected me in any way. It's good. Let's assume you want to learn this thing. Yeah, you can just go and learn it. Prepare yourself to know it. And then there are a lot of people, they just pay to pass the certificate. They are two different things. So it depends on what you have. Fine. You as a starter, if you can read and pass, just get yourself a certificate. It's going to help you probably get a job faster. Probably rank you better, and a lot of other things you could enjoy. But then it does not really determine how successful you will be while practicing a DevOps, because there's a difference between you really to pass exam and you really doing the thing. Doing DevOps itself. So, but then it's always good you have a certificate, and we have different levels of certification. In fact, in every cloud has different certifications. So, has different levels. Depends on what you want or what you're looking. You can just read about them. You have your AWS, you have your cloud, you have your Azure, you have your GCP. A lot of them, just read about them. But I think the three major ones are the Azure, the GCP, and the AWS. Right now, I'm in Saudi Arabia. We don't use any of these because of data protection. Saudi Arabia data lives in Saudi. So if you don't have, just like we have in our AWS here, sorry, I talk too fast. I'm sorry. Let me just try to calm down. Just like you have in your AWS here, we have different region here. So these are different data centers. So we have one in Africa, which is in Cape Town. We have in Asia. We have none in Saudi Arabia. This is Middle East. We really have in Bahrain and UAE. So that's why we are not using any data center in Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia data must live in Saudi. So if at all we want to run anything, it must be in Saudi Arabia. And the only cloud provider operating in Saudi Arabia is Oracle. So that's why my company uses Oracle. So then talking about certification, I can just decide to go for certification in Oracle. And okay.
All right, sorry to cut you out. Let me not let you talk too much. Thank you very much. I understand. I grasp your points. Okay. For how long? Personally, how long can I learn? Will it take me to learn it? Let me say I am able to sacrifice 4 hours a day to learn intensively. Like, how long will it take me? How many months will it take me to learn before I can apply for a role?
Just, it's not a question I can really give you the right answer. Let me tell you something. myself, I started learning on the job. I was privileged to be at a place at the right time where I started practicing DevOps. I happened to train a couple of people, even without even practicing. The thing is, I got to learn a lot of things, while trying to teach people. Then I started applying for a role. Do you know what I did? I was learning in my interview. Like, as I'm attending to interview, asking me questions, I write down the questions. If I fucked up, I'll just write it down and read about it and be able to talk about it. In my next interview, I'll make sure I sound convincing, like read about it, try to practice, and in fact, I can even add it to my resume if I think it's something I can easily talk about. So I kept learning on the job. I kept learning on interview. So every opportunity I had was learning. And then I was actually applying to international jobs. So I was privileged to actually talk to a lot of recruiters, international recruiters, and I got an opportunity to interview with a Nigerian company, somewhere that's interviewed with international recruiters. It was a lot easier for me to really do interview in Nigeria, and then I got my first fintech job there. Just did my first interview in Nigeria. So interview itself is part of the learning. Keep learning, and even after getting the job, you still keep learning on the job.
Okay. Thank you very much. That would be all from my side. I enjoyed the section. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Chris, do you have any other question?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. Please. You mentioned. My question is. You mentioned in the class about Putty and Puttygen, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so please, I just want you to explain how boot works. Like, do I need to have boot, or I can just I can choose to work with either of the two?
Okay.
That's my question.
Yeah, I guess it actually came late anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Putty is just an SSH client anyway for actually accessing your virtual machine in the cloud. And that's what Putty is all about. So you can use it to access your virtual machine. Then Puttygen is just a converter, for actually converting your keys, your private key, to a specific format. Okay, let me show you. Sorry. Yeah. Let me just show you this. Now, I once, when I was setting up my instance, I once created a key which was in PEM format, not in PPK format. So let me import the key. PEM format cannot work with Putty because Putty is expecting a PPK format.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just import this is the private key which I named bolu.pem. It cannot work in Putty. Okay, so no. Before I do that, let me go to Putty now and try to upload this key. You discover I cannot see the bolu.pem because it's.
Can you try sharing your screen, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, please, can you just remind me the next class, please? Can you just ask that in the next class so that everybody.
Exactly what I was going to
say. Okay. No problem.
Because many people have left.
Yes. Okay. So, is any other question? We should be wrapping up in about 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I'm Victor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Happy to see you. I'm actually with my people here. Chris, nice to have you around. Nero, Havana, you. Yeah, Victor, I can see you. I see you.
Right.
Yeah,
so much
thank you for really giving this class fit. I really see this as a privilege anyway. and I hope we all this time together. So our next class is so I we try to plan ahead for that time. It's can only take better.
Please, can you guys mute?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, sorry. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity you are giving us. I'm sorry I have a cracky voice. So
we can hear you.
I joined this class from the beginning, but my network was completed, so I have to give us time to come back. So my question now, because while you were running us through the briefing, the setting up of the AWS, I could not see your screen at all. Like I wasn't seeing anything. I don't know if it's my network or something. Now, as a total beginner to DevOps, so are you saying if we go to learn Bash script and follow through this class, we are going to be good? Or is there any recommendation you can give us so that we can actually catch up, because I don't even know any of them. But I just want to know what we must do so that we'll be able to catch up faster, or we are good with just the Bash script.
We've not really started, the class anyway. So that's what I'm saying. Just try as much as possible to make sure you don't miss anything. Understand as much as you should. All we just did tonight was just to set up the environment. When you're talking about SSH actually is secure shell. That's secure shell to log into a server. So this is I just mentioned is just a means for you to log into your server. So it's nothing to really worry about. SSH for you to log into a server. So that's it. I feel so far there's nothing to really worry about. Just try if you can. I'll try to upload the video. Try to watch, try to understand. If you have any question, you can leave it as a comment. You can leave it in the comment section. I'll try to attend to it because I may not be able to really attend to questions in my DM. I can't attend to questions in DM, or probably we're going to create we have a WhatsApp group. You can ask questions. We have a lot of people that should be able to help and all. We shall keep moving. I'm the only one handling this with the help of my wife. She's not technical, but she's there. My brother is helping me, and I have a few volunteers that are really helping me as well. So, and I also have the work I'm running. I have other things I'm doing. I can't really be everywhere, but then I'll just try as much as possible to really impact as much as I could.
Thank you, Mr. Bolu, for your time and for giving us this opportunity. It's really a privilege for us, and we appreciate, or I appreciate.
Bolu, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out. So see you guys on Thursday.
Thank you, Bolu.
Yeah,
I appreciate your wife too.
Yeah, she can hear you.
Mr. Bolu, now go to stay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Bolu. You're welcome. Bye.
Thanks for the